watching Rogers TV. This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello, and welcome to Her Story, the show to encourage more women to explore the possibility of using their skills and talents by participating in leadership roles within our community. I'm Tiffany James, and I have the pleasure of hosting this program. Her Story is here to encourage women in our community to actively engage and use their voice to bring attention to issues they are passionate about, with the hope that we will all get more involved. Please welcome my guest, Heather McIlwee, Master Electrician at Red Apple Electric. She's a third-generation electrician. Her father and grandfather were both electricians. Heather has been a master electrician for 21 years and has owned and operated her own business, Red Apple Electric, for the last 7. It's not often you see a woman in trades, which is so encouraging. Heather, I'm excited to hear your story. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Tiffany.
So Heather, can you tell me a little bit about your background and what led you to become a master electrician?
Well, I was born actually in Rosemont, Ontario, which is sort of near Alliston, between Alliston and Shelburne. Okay. And after high school, I went to art school. I went to the Ontario College of Art and Design for sculpture and installation. So I have a 4-year degree in that. And then I just, one day my dad phoned me and said, hey, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? Because, it's hard to make a living as an artist. And he offered me an apprenticeship opportunity, and I worked with him for my first 8 years. Wow. And by that time, so it takes about 5 years to get your Red Seal license. So I got that. And then 3 years after that, I got my master's. And then shortly thereafter, I actually moved to British Columbia, and I started my first business, which was called Red Fox Electric. And I ran that business in BC for about 4 years.
So can you tell me what brought you to BC? What made you go to BC?
Well, it was, I guess, love. And then what brought me back to Ontario was divorce. So I have my first business out west. And then when I moved back to Ontario, I started Red Apple Electric, first in Collingwood. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, I moved to Meaford, but still service the same general area. But so I started Red Apple Electric in 2017. So half my career, I've been self-employed, and then I've worked for my dad and then a few other companies over the years, but I kind of like to march to my own drum. So self-employment is sort of what makes me happiest and is most fulfilling to me.
Oh, was it a little daunting though to start your own business? Like how that must have been scary, especially out of province and on your own?
Yeah, well, when I first moved to the town, it was called Lillooet, a couple hours from Whistler in BC, there weren't any job opportunities. So because I had the background with my license, my Ontario master's license was not relevant in BC. So I had my Red Seal, which means I could work in any province, but I couldn't have my own business unless I got my BC master's. So I did that in order to get my BC contractor's license, and then basically created a job for myself by starting Red Fox Electric, my first company. So it was kind of out of necessity just to have a job, and it was just out of necessity. And then but because I'd worked for my dad for 8 years, he was self-employed, so I already had that taste of the day-to-day operations, the customer relations. You're the one at the end of the day, if there's a problem, you're gonna you have to be responsible for your work, and workmanship was so key that you don't want that callback, so you do everything right the first time. And so I learned take the responsibility of being self-employed, because there isn't somebody that's going to, come and help you out. Everything's kind of on your shoulders. And I kind of learned that from my dad. And then I was able to take that to run my own business. And I guess it just was kind of second nature, because I was, in a sense, because my dad was self-employed, it felt like I was self-employed along with him. So I was a sidekick.
So I guess that leads into my next question, which is, who are the main influences in your life? So you've mentioned your dad quite a bit.
And that's actually who I always generally, when people ask me that question, that's generally who I go to. But actually, my biggest inspiration is my mom. She was one of the first female firefighters in Southern Ontario. She retired after 25 years. Her and my dad actually co-founded the Rosemont Fire Department in 1991. They went there. The call times, if you had called 911 and you needed emergency services, it was long, 15 minutes or more to get an ambulance to, center of Rosemont, which is a small hamlet. But they went around and got a petition signed and literally started the fire department from scratch. They got old trucks from the city of Toronto's fire departments, old bunker gear. They had people come in to train them, but literally started the fire department from scratch. And I'm just really proud of my mom, because she was such a pioneer in that field. And being able to start the fire department, which has now been in service since 1991, and has saved countless lives. Because there's maybe a few structure fires a year, but they're mostly, they're being called out 3-4 times a week for medical emergencies and mainly car accidents. So the amount of lives that they touch with their community service is just incredible. And also for my mom to inspire a lot of people, a lot of women, to join the fire department as well, when it was a male-dominated space. So I'm really proud of my mom's accomplishments in that field. And when she got her medal for 25 years of service, my dad called it quits after 20 years. He was the chief for about a decade of that. But my mom stuck it out for another 5 years. She's like, I'm getting my 25-year medal. And she retired when she was 70 odd from the fire department. It was hard for her to let go, but I'm just so proud of the work she did, because it was literally, they saved people's lives every week, honestly. Not a stretch. Yeah.
That's amazing. So when I ask you if it was daunting to start your own business, you're like, no, my mom started a fire sale.
Yeah, my parents started a fire department. Like, well, it's kind of like, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm like, I had a lot to live up to. That's impressive. Yeah. So your mom showed you that women can stand in a male-dominated world, and I love that. That is awesome.
And I think my dad, his support in that too. And even when he asked me for the apprenticeship, there was nothing to do with genders. It was just like, you can do it. You got a heartbeat, 2 feet, you got arms to lift that roll of cable, you can do it, right? He had that positive reinforcement that you could do anything that you set your mind to. And I think I've carried that forward through not only my work life, but my personal life too, to always strive to just keep learning and growing, and no mountains too high kind of thing. I try to keep that philosophy. So.
That's great. So can you tell me a little bit about what motivates you, Heather? What gets you going?
I think what motivates me, I just like to be active, and I love socially interacting. I love the customer relations I have. I love problem solving, coming up with creative solutions. I love thinking outside of the box. And
do you think that has something to do with your art background?
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Because I know a few people have said to me over the years, like, I don't see the correlation between being an artist and being an electrician, but you have to be a good electrician, in my opinion, you have to have a creative mind, because every day is a different scenario, right? A different location, a different task. And the way you did something yesterday may not be able to be applied to what you're doing today. So you have to kind of reinvent the way that you approach your work and your perspective of it, and come up with creative ways to make something that's not only functional but aesthetically pleasing. And workmanship, to me, what you leave at the end is sort of your signature. And I take that very seriously, because that's all that is left, is what you've left on the wall or what you've installed. And I take real pride in the aesthetics as well as the technical component of it.
That's awesome. That leads me to a little bit more. Can you tell me a bit about the not-for-profit work you do? I know you recently set up an all-new, I'm trying to find the word, but at Safe and Sound here, our shelter in Owen Sound, someone approached you with an idea, and you went in and were able to find ways for safety in the washrooms. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So I got approached by Francesca from United Way, who had asked, I guess there had been, there's ongoing problems with not only Safe and Sound, but a lot of vulnerable locations, and a lot of businesses also have this issue as well. There's been a lot of overdoses in the area. The drug epidemic is been getting worse and worse, especially since COVID. And they're seeing a rise in overdoses and also medical emergencies, because in a vulnerable location like Safe and Sound, a lot of people who need those facilities and those services may be neglecting their health, not only their mental health, but their physical health. So she wanted me to kind of come up with a creative solution to monitor their washrooms and be able to create a system that would alert workers if there was a medical emergency in the washroom, if somebody had gone unconscious, fallen asleep, put themselves at risk. So what I designed and installed is a very, very simple system. It was kind of customized to what their needs were, because there are overdose medical detection systems on the market that are smart. The problem with some smart products is that, firstly, you need an app and you need Wi-Fi. And with a place like Safe and Sound, when there's lots of different workers, I wanted something that was hardwired, something that was just simple, and that any worker could wrap their minds of using the system, and less things to fail in the future, less maintenance. So basically, I created a system where if somebody's in the washroom and it's run through, I use the occupancy sensor or motion sensor as a catalyst to determine if somebody does not move, or there's inactivity for 1 full minute, it turns on a red light in the hallway. It also turns off the light in the fan in the washroom. So for instance, if you're very, very still, which this sensor is very sensitive, so it shouldn't have too many times of nuisance tripping. But if, for instance, you just kind of nod it off for a second, move, lights turn back on, goes back to everything's fine. But if there's a 1 minute window of inactivity, the lights and fan go out, the red light goes on, and there is no movement from there, it alerts the worker, who can glance down the hallway and see the status of both washrooms. So they see that red light on, somebody's in there.
Yeah.
And they need help immediately. So that's the system I've created. So basically, it's just 2 light: green light when somebody enters the washroom, red light
if someone's still for over a minute.
Exactly. And so I did, because when I first was approached, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then they're like, well, how much will it cost? And I was like, free. I'm like, I cried when I read the message, because I thought, I've never had the opportunity to use the skills I have in my trade to actually make an impact in, to possibly save a life, or assist workers to make their lives easier. Because before the system was installed, I think the method of checking the washrooms was, a knock on the door every few minutes, but, workers get busy. time elapses. And so I wanted to make the workers' lives easier. And then, but yeah, I was just so thrilled to be asked to, especially with my parents having such a long history of giving back to the community. When I had this opportunity, I jumped. I was just.
I just think it's important to note, Heather, that you did this all for free in your spare time at Safe and Sound, and the fact that you gave back that way. I just wanted to make a note of that because I think that's awesome, and I think I'm sure Safe and Sound is extremely pleased, and you've made their lives a little bit easier over there, which is they need. So thank you.
Well, and I'm hoping that this can, because it's such a simple and very inexpensive, because basically it's a junction box and a couple of lights, but it can be wired to any standard washroom. And I can see the potential in a lot of other vulnerable locations, because I'm hearing it from a lot of business owners and other facilities that this is an issue. And even for, an elderly couple who, you want to take your husband in the washroom, it also keeps that dignity for that person where they're not, they've got their privacy in the washroom, but somebody who is a caretaker is able to kind of, keep an eye on them and make sure that they're safe in their own home. So I'm hoping that this will kind of broaden to a lot more locations, because it's so simple, inexpensive, and it for its purpose, it's working. And so I'm very, very, very happy with it, and it's become a true passion project. And working with Safe and Sound has been amazing. One time I was there, and actually a couple of weeks ago, I changed out a toilet. I'm not a plumber, but I just want to help in any way possible. And it's very rewarding, and something that, because of the history and growing up as a kid of a firefighter, when I was a kid, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go and go from burning cars, but now being in this position, it's just I'm just very grateful for the opportunity that they gave me, and I'm excited for what I can do in the future to help. So,
well, I think it's amazing, and I wanted to toot your horn. So thank you for sharing that. So I'm going to change it a little bit here. Like I said in the intro, it's not often you see women in trades, and I love to encourage women to step out of their boxes and try new things. So how would you encourage someone who's looking to start a career in the trades, not necessarily an electrician, but knowing that it's a male-dominated world? How would you encourage a woman to pursue that?
Well, I think I continue to push with the school boards. There has been over a big shift, I say, in the last 5-10 years, where school boards are really being able to, or they're noticing that, obviously we need trades. And when I went to high school, there wasn't even a mention of going to trade school. There's sort of, you go to university or college, or you go to the workforce, but there wasn't, they didn't glamorize the trades at all. But, without the trades, we don't have power, we don't have money, we don't have lights on in our house, we don't have running water. So, so I think it starts, they are starting, or they continue to do work trying to promote to younger students as because it's an amazing career path. And my advice to somebody who's considering it is just try your best to just try to get your foot in the door. It can be daunting, it might take a lot of cold calls. I locked into it because my dad was an electrician, so I don't have firsthand experience in that, but the co-op programs in most of the schools now offer pre-apprenticeship. So the hours that they do in their co-op then in turn count towards their future apprenticeship. So, and now I think the government, after grade 10, you can actually go into a full-time trades co-op and basically graduate high school. And basically maybe you might need a year or two more of hours, but you could have your Red Seal trades license by the time you're 19 or 20 years old now. because there's such a shortage of it. And it keeps kids who necessarily don't like typical learning in a school setting to be, hands-on, and having that co-op, even if you don't end up sticking with that particular company you're working for, you have that in your back pocket, that you have some experience already. You've got these hours that you can put towards your apprenticeship. So you're a lot more valuable to a company because you already kind of learned the basics. And then from there, they can expand on teaching you kind of what their specialty is or what their company focuses on. But those programs in the school have become like invaluable these days. And also Georgian College, they offer a pre-apprenticeship program as well, which is, I think, a more intense program for a few months, and get the hands-on experience. And I think now it's even free tuition for that, or there's grant programs that's essentially free. And even throughout your going through trade school, each time you do a stint at trade school, you're able to go on EI, and it's a very small fee, even just for schooling. So you're doing, like, compared to going to university, which is going to cost you probably nowadays close to $100,000, the apprenticeship to Red Seal licensed program for all the trades is essentially a free learning experience, and you get paid while you're working, and while you're at school, you get EI. So it is accessible, especially for people, who want to change, even older people in their lives that want a career change. It is a good option because there isn't a lot of schooling fees like other universities or other typical education systems. So there's a lot of ways to come in, and with those pre-apprenticeship things, being able to have that at the top of your resume, that you got a little bit of hands-on experience, goes a long way. And also just not saying or accepting no, just keep confident. And eventually somebody's going to say yes, and they're going to say yes to the person who was persistent and believed in themselves and had confidence to make that call, even though it's kind of scary to ask for a job or ask for an opportunity. But the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So
that's excellent advice. Can you tell me what you learned about yourself on this journey?
I think I learned that I'm adaptable, and I can roll with the punches. And I think I learned that not to be so hard on myself too, that even, when mistakes are made or things have, everything's a learning experience. And I take every day as a new way to learn something new. Like I'm constantly, rejigging my skills and finding out better ways to do things that I used to do differently, or pick up a new hobby to kind of, offset, have maybe create a little bit more of a better work-life balance as well. And I think that helps me stay focused and going forward at work too, by having a great home life and personal life.
I think that's important. A lot of us don't realize that, and we get stuck in that grind of day to day. And when you take that little bit of time for yourself, it does help you reset and refocus and achieve more, I feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's never too, I never ever want to stop learning. I think when I stop learning, my heart won't be beating anymore. So
yeah, I agree. What's something that piques your interest that's unexplored territory for you? Do you ever regret not opening up an art studio? Or I hope you still do art.
Well, I still make art. And that's something I have over the years put on the back burner because of my career. You get busy, and so I have actually this summer I had a couple shows with my art, and actually I'm revisiting music as well. My first love when I was a child was music, and I actually won the grade 8 music award.
Wow.
I used to play the bagpipes and the ukulele.
Oh my goodness.
So not at the same time, but
the bagpipes are difficult. I don't know how you'd be able to play those together.
Yeah. So I'm actually very interested in revisiting, especially music, because I think that really shaped me as a person too, because like I kind of use music and art as a sort of therapy. But music is just great for math and creating patterns and taking something and putting your own twist on it. And so recently bought a new ukulele and I'm reteaching myself. But it's been 30 odd years for the ukulele, so it sounds like it's not perfect yet, but it's just
not like riding a bike, you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm reteaching myself that, and hopefully one day I'll be back to where I used to be when I was 11 years old.
And what do you hope to do with music? Just for your own pleasure, or?
Yeah, just for my own hobby and interest. Yeah.
And you did mention you had some art shows this summer. That's interesting.
Yeah, I had a couple of shows at the Craig Gallery in Meaford.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in part of the Meaford 150 anniversary show. And then I also did a piece for the Craig Gallery's 5th anniversary. I did an installation. So it's exciting because they're very supportive of my work, because my work as an artist is installation art, which is kind of like sculpture, but sometimes it can be a little bit unsellable and more conceptual art. And it's really nice to have a gallery that supports and loves my work, that they don't mind that everything's for sale if somebody wanted to buy it, but it's nice that they support all different variety of forms of art, because and also to have the deadlines to get my work into a gallery. It was nice. And so I'm actually working on a piece right now, a public installation piece that I'm hoping to show in the new year. So
that's exciting. And will that be hopefully at the Craig Gallery as well in Meaford?
I want to do a public installation. So something outdoors. So I'm cooking up something, and I like to have a little bit of creative. I actually just recently took a creative writing course too in Walters Falls. This is an outlet as well, because I've always had a dream to one day write a novel. And so funny kind of memoirs of some funny stories. But so I've been doing some creative writing as well, because you can't write a novel until you put the pen to the paper. So
that's a dream of mine as well, and it's true. Until you put something on paper, you can't write a novel. Well, Heather, we're almost out of time today, and thank you so much for joining me. I have learned so much, and I think the work you do and women in trades is so important. So I love highlighting women in trades. So thank you so much for joining me today. Of course. I'm going to end the program with a little quote here that reminds me of you from Sandra Day O'Connor. As society sees what women can do, and as women see what women can do, there will be more women out there doing things, and we'll all be better off for it. So thank you, Heather, for being...
Give me like goosebumps a little bit.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
On Rogers TV.
Are you a passionate content creator ready to expand your audience reach? Do you have unique stories, captivating hobbies, or special interests that deserve a spotlight? Rogers TV is here to amplify your voice within the community. We offer you the platform to broadcast your content to a wider audience. And the best part, it's completely free. Don't miss this opportunity to share your vision